In this video, we will share some strategies to stay mindful. Life will give you many opportunities, and most of them require you to act quickly. Grab the situation. It is the second and last part of the Quick Wit series, as it was getting too long, so we divided in two. You can watch the first part after this video. So let's just start the video. You know what to do if you find it useful. Chapter 5 will be the most important strategy, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Chapter 1. Street Smarts. The philosophy of the street isn't just about the ability to survive, but to actually prosper in an environment of chaos. First, it involves actively listening to your surroundings, changing from the naval officer that feels the winds and brimming seawater surging in his vessel's hull. This is not paranoia, but educated living and appreciation, not only of the where you are and the what, but the flow. Analyze people's walk. Observe the rhythm of the environment around you. The world is full of secrets, and anything has a hint as to something that is hidden if only one possessed the adequate knowledge. But there is more to it than that with street smarts. That is about gaining the understanding of some sort of subtext of people's behavior, perceiving goals in such things as gestures, and identifying chances as well as threats at a first sight. It's not about being skeptical, although such perception may indeed be closer to the truth, but rather being wise and knowing that every opportunity has its risks and rewards. Think like a stoic. Indeed, it is similarly true today as it was in the Seneca words. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Acknowledge them, but do not let them control you. They should be used to indicate what requires more attention or efforts. Research from the behavioral psychology perspective provide evidence that viewers frequently fail to register features in their surroundings because of a number of factors such as attention overload or prejudice. The phenomenon of inattentional blindness. Mac. Rock, 1998. The mindful pedestrian minimizes what is heard and observed in the environment and allows for what is relevant and necessary from what is irrelevant and unnecessary. This ability to see in the storms and avoid them not only makes one safe to himself, but makes him powerful in a way that others are not. He knows where the shortcuts are, and he knows where the gravy is. To be streetwise is to be able to watch the game and understand its rules so that one can be able to twist them and also play with a lot of practice, even when the stakes are high. Chapter 2. Emotional Awareness. Emotional agility isn't muting your emotions. It is about dancing with them as opposed to being waltzed by them. In a nutshell, it is all about confirming one's feelings, but then being able to ration how one handles those emotions, even if they are extreme. They are not able to snap, shut it, or run away. Instead, one is taught how to get through the storm. In a work on emotional agility, psychologist Susan David, 2016, has found customers who maneuver through their emotions in a healthy way, meaning they do not avoid them and get too attached to them either, are the most likely to survive pressure. At its root, it's about finding time between stimulus and action. This place, as the Stoics well understood, is where the freedom is to be found. When things turn against you, chase them away by a frank and unself-pity. Epictetus. See it, feel it, name it, claim it, and do not let it overrule your decision-making. Emotional mindfulness entails the process of being an observer of one's emotions, in much the same way as a storm raging in the distance is observed. For instance, you don't need to perceive danger where you feel anxious. Instead, this anxiety is a sign that something in the environment requires attention. Creating such a state of emotional flexibility, you have to master a new kind of language, the language of the self. The more you get better, the harder it is to be taken by the tide of the emotion. You are in control of your own vessel, and you maneuver it according to the course you have set. Chapter 3. Just push the pause button. This is the biggest mistake that people make about patience. They assume that patience means doing nothing, which is far from the truth. It is more of the ability to be patient, even when every fiber of your body is telling you to perform. This is not the kind of pause that comes from aversion from being afraid of something. It is a strategic gap between the signal and the behavior, the space to reflect on what is happening, and then to make a decision as to how one should respond. Psychologist Viktor Frankl said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response is our freedom." In the world of the 21st century, with its obsession with its fast pace, where everything has to be done right now, patience is regarded as a sign of weakness. But it is actually fine to be inactive during silence, to not run in the heat of the moment, to be restrained. Research indicates that this kind of decision-making stems from fight or flight mechanism caused by the activation of amygdala. The act of patience regulates the activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is part of the brain that deals with the sophisticated planning and decision-making, as well as moderates impulses and emotions. Stoicism is the theory which assigns patience as a virtue. Wise Emperor Marcus Aurelius said, "The more a man is capable of doing and achieving, the closer he gets to what is called strength." Every pause is an exercise on learning how to acquire strength in one's mind. Eventually, this habit of pausing changes how your brain thinks about things and not to act, hence making you be a more strong, poised, and efficient gamer of life. Just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying this video, please consider like and subscribe, and thanks a lot if you did already. Moving on. Chapter 4. Seeing yourself with clarity. The first element of dervish practice is mindfulness, and the essence of mindfulness is self-awareness. In mindfulness, as much attention is paid to the inside world as to the outside. It means being aware of the signs, the cues, as well as the ways you normally react. The ancient Stoics did this to the letter. For them, life was an exercise in virtue, which means a daily exercise. Of all that was said by the ancients, the following quote by the great philosopher Socrates seems to have been well taken and can be interpreted more as a challenge than a rebuke. The unexamined life is not worth living. It has already been postulated by modern psychology that self-awareness has its advantages. For example, Tasha Eurich, in her research conducted in 2018, showed that self-awareness has positive correlation with job satisfaction, interpersonal relationships, and effective decisions. Recognizing a particular way of thinking allows you to note if you are in autopilot. This is when one is doing something not because one has made a rational decision to do so, but because one is acting in a way that has been conditioned by prior experience. This way, you begin to develop the awareness of people's constant patterns at their thoughts, feelings, and reactions. You come to understand that there are things such as cognitive distortions, for example, polarized thinking or magnification that may rob you of sound rationality. That's pretty much like having a clean glass through which you view the world. The Stoics practice daily reflection to achieve this, identifying its success and failures, as well as areas of consideration. Self-awareness is not self-judgment. It's about how you look at yourself, with no prejudice of egoism or self-negativity. The more you shine your lens on the world, the more you know, and the knowing is the key to making conscious decisions in preference to meandering along an automatic pilot, pushed and pulled this way and that. Chapter 5. Sense of humor. A sense of humor might seem trivial, but it's a profound tool for mindfulness. Humor is the art of seeing the absurdity in life's challenges, of finding light in dark places. It's not about dismissing the gravity of serious situations, but about keeping perspective. When we laugh, we create distance between ourselves and our problems, allowing us to observe them without getting entangled. The Stoics knew this very well, and therefore, they commonly used the issue of ridiculous behavior in order to cultivate strength. Epictetus humorously noted on the fact that man is not troubled by real issues as much as he is troubled by his imaginations about real issues. To this effect, humor acts as a strong antidote to worry. It is a form of regaining the control over oneself, and also as a constant reminder that no matter how tough things may seem, there is always a momentary pause. In the psychological sense, humor has proved to lessen stress and enhance outlook, that is, cognitive flexibility, so that people are able to view matters from various angles. It helps the brain regulate stress, preventing the production of cortisol and elevating your mood. It's just an own life lesson to have, not to be too serious, even though sometimes it could be tough. Laughter is beneficial, since it assists in keeping things as per plan, particularly when matters get out of hand. It even makes a barrier. It gives you a mental room to catch your breath. It is a message which is simple as emphasizing our common ground, common sorrows, joys and misfortunes, and holy laughter that one may need to grasp in moments of complete despair and confusion. Using humor in daily life helps to develop a coping mechanism that does not break into pieces under pressure and stress, bends slightly, and goes on with a smile on the face.